This video will explain a little bit about the Maya class structure, some aspects of their lives like their responsibilities, special occasions, marriage, and then certain religious beliefs. If you look at the top of the social classes, not surprisingly, there's a ruler. Something different from the Aztec and Inca is that there's one for each city-state. So you have some facts about the ruler, and some of them are pretty typical in terms of deciding when to go to war. The third one down considered a god king, so they thought the ruler was divine and they were very religious, so it was like the ruler had part of the gods in him. At any point in the video, if it's too fast or you want to write something down and I moved on, pause the video, write down what you need to, and then start watching the video again. Another thing is, if you didn't color code the ruler, like the name of each social class, or if you didn't highlight them, you might want to do something to make that social class stand out. So the next social class beneath the ruler, or social classes, were nobles and priests. So one key thing you want to do is maybe to the side indicate what the nobles did and then what the priests did, because they had different responsibilities. Oh, well, I should say that the first bullet applies to both social classes. So that might be something good to write down because it's unique to their social class. So nobles were officials, and some responsibilities are listed there. Actually, here they are. Here are all the responsibilities. And then the priests maintain favor with the gods and lead rituals. Those are religious rituals to help make the gods happy. So again, make sure you know what the nobles did and what the priests did, because it wasn't the same. Next social class, we have merchants and artisans. So again, they had different roles. Merchants were traded goods, and you can see the different ways that they did that and the different goods that they traded. So quetzals are birds with like special feathers, so we don't really talk about quetzals too much, but that's a type of bird. The artisans were like artists who made goods, and they were a tribute to the gods, these goods. So if you didn't write that down, you might want to do that. And like the social class above, make sure you know what merchants did and then what the artisans did. They might make murals, books, pottery, and no matter what they made, they wanted to make the gods happy. So next we have peasants. So if you wrote that they were the backbone of society, you might want to give some examples of how. Farming was really important, and they were the main farmers. You have some goods that they grew listed. Male, female jobs are next. And then in general, they did a lot of the work. So my third bullet tells you some of the work that they did, and they might have breaks from work to go to weddings or religious events. That is the fact that's over to the right. Lastly, at the bottom you have slaves, and there were different ways you would become a slave. So you have criminals, people born into slavery, sold into slavery, war prisoners, and they did a lot of work as well, just like the peasants. They weren't treated too poorly, but they weren't free, so you know it's bad. Being a slave is bad, obviously, no matter what. And if their owner died, they might be sacrificed. When you're all set with this page, go to the second page. On this page, there's 3 topics you should have facts about. On your sheet, I wrote in what those topics were. This is an old answer key where I didn't do that, so I have color-coded my facts. The facts in red are the duties of family members, and you can see the male versus female roles, and the males did more work outside the home, hunting, farming. Females did more domestic tasks. Those are written to the right. The next section we have are special occasions. So there was a ceremony. The first 2 ceremonies happened when babies were infants, 4 months for males, 3 months for females, and the idea was to introduce them to items that they would use later in life. So you can see the boy items, and I gave some examples, versus the girl items. So it kind of goes along with the roles that were mentioned in the first set of facts about duties for family members. Okay, when they're teenagers, they have like a coming of age ceremony, 14 for boys, 12 for girls. They had to, the confessing and reciting behavior rules goes with both. It's just you can't tell by the way I wrote it. And this was, this is similar to like in our modern times, you might have a bar bat mitzvah, and there's the quinceañera. I can't say that very well. For some people who are Hispanic do that. So there's different, and if you're Catholic, you might be confirmed. There's different ceremonies to kind of make you an adult or show that you're transitioning to be an adult in our modern times. And you can see here some examples of what the Maya did. Okay, lastly, there's some facts about marriage. Marriage was unique in that it was negotiated. So let's see if I can get these facts visible. All right, so basically you have the marriage ages, you have the matchmaker is the so I can't even say it. I sound horrible, don't I? Anyway, they have a matchmaker. That's the key thing you need to know. And the male's family might give food and clothing to the bride's family. Oh, and would agree to how many years the male would work for the bride's family. I'm not doing a good job of showing that. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, here we go. Kind of. All right. All together. All the marriage info. Oh, I just moved the page. Now this is messed up. Anyway, down here we have what happened for marriage, and there we go. All right. I'm about to do, oh gosh, this is getting bad. There we go, I think. Oh God. Anyway, I've messed up, but the black information is the marriage information. The bride and groom would live in a hut behind the family's house. And I've almost got it. Oh well, that's good enough. You get the point. Sorry to make this difficult. I didn't mean to do it. Okay, move on to page 3 when you're all set. All right, the setup of this page makes it a little hard. This section talks about religious beliefs and practices of the Maya. So the first thing we have, if you look over to the right, are the offerings and sacrifices. And it tells you why the priests were so important, because they were the only ones who could explain signs, and it was really important for them to please the gods. You have some specific examples of what was offered, some items. You might want to write a couple down if you don't have any already. I want you to also make sure you have why blood was important to the Maya, which is my third bullet down. And then they took blood from animals, orphans, slaves, captured nobles. So my last bullet talks about Chichen Itza and the sacred well, so you might want to write that in your notes. A lot of times the students don't get that far, plus they only write 3 notes, so you don't have anything about the sacred well, but I'll show you some pictures of this. I saw it and have some pictures. Anyway, we'll also have a little video clip that talks about Chichen Itza, and there was this big well that people were sacrificed in, and if you survived, they thought you might bring a message from the gods, and I'll tell you more about that later. Okay, then we have the sacred round. That's the ritual calendar of the Maya. And you can see it's 260 days because you have 13 months with 20 days each, equals 260 if you multiply them. You have 2 parts to it, and I can show you in class. The numbers 1 to 13, and then 20 glyphs, and then they kind of work together in different combinations, numbers, and glyphs meant different things. So it's really important to know that only the priests could understand its meaning, so they were really important for that reason. And you need to know the purpose of it, which I've starred at the bottom of the box. You also might want to have some specific examples of what they were trying to figure out, the best days for what. And I give you some examples in that last bullet that you should write down, a couple of them on your paper. So back to the right, we have Mayan gods, and there was 160 of them. They were polytheistic. They had to do with nature, and I gave you some examples there. They might have animal characteristics. And then the last fact is important. You want to make sure that's in your notes. What they believed about the gods. They created the world and could influence and destroy it. You had to honor the gods so that they didn't destroy the world. So that is an important fact to have in your notes. Lastly, there's this game that they played, Pocket Talk. Right, it's a ball game. I can show you some video of that. It was really important to them. I saw a ball game court, and I have some pictures of that when I went to Chichen Itza. So the point was to keep the ball moving using different body parts, just no feet or hands. And there was a ring that was really high up you were supposed to get the ball through. It was very high. I'll show you my pictures. I don't know how anyone ever got it up there. Anyway, it was like, sports today. People placed bets on some of them. You could lose things if you bet them, so you had to be careful. There's different information in terms of who was sacrificed at the end of the game. Was it the captain of the losing team? I've seen other places that had to do with the winner, the winning team, because that was like considered an honor to sacrifice yourself for the gods. But no matter what, sometimes people were sacrificed related to this game. So hopefully you got all the information you needed about all the topics. If you didn't, rewind the video, get what you need. If you didn't, pause it while you're watching. And that is it for today's video.